Hi there. Thank you so much for being here. We're on the chapter of persistence. And I don't know about you, but this could not have come at a better time. It's like just over the halfway point, and it kind of reminded me why I made this course 11 weeks. Because I felt like people really needed the constant support over the duration of them wanting to accomplish something in their life. So for me, it definitely came at a good time, because the first thing I want to talk about today is what Napoleon Hill calls life's reverse gear. I feel like when we see positive momentum and growth and change and success, we are motivated and encouraged to continue on. But one of the things that Napoleon Hill in his Think and Grow Rich book reminds us of, and fairly often, is that failure is part of the process. And I would just add my own wisdom in this and say, if you're not hitting road bumps or challenges in your journey to accomplish this thing in your life, you're probably not acting enough out of your comfort zone. So Napoleon Hill says, life has a reverse gear, and oftentimes when we're faced with challenges, I kind of think of this as like driving a stick shift. And when you're like on a hill, if you're familiar with a stick shift, like when you're in neutral, you will roll backwards. And I think that's kind of what Napoleon Hill is talking about. Like, the reverse gear is when you lose your momentum. It might be a defeat, a failure, some, part of your plan that fell through. But instead of letting life's momentum just take you back down that hill, you put it into a lower gear and you continue your climb up the hill. He basically says, I'm just going to read this part out of the book, because if you haven't got the book already, it's really a great companion for this course. And I probably should have suggested that you read the book to go through or listen to it. He has so many stories that I'm not including in this course because I'm really just trying to take the meat out of it and translate it to you. But he has a lot in the book. So he talks about the life's reverse gear in that he said, we see few who take the punishment of defeat as an urge to greater effort. These, fortunately, never learn to accept life's reverse gear, like the rolling backwards down the hill. Like, nope, not having it. But what we do not see, and what most of us never even suspect of existing, is the silent but irresistible power which comes to the rescue of those who fight on in the face of discouragement. Oh my goodness. It's like you're ignited with more, strength when you overcome a failure or something that might set you back in your course. Another thing that I feel like was so important out of this chapter on persistence is the idea that a small fire produces a small amount of heat. So thinking of that in terms of your goal that you want to accomplish, you might, just have something small, and that's great. It will produce a small amount of heat or a small amount of results, and that might help you to get to the next stage. Like, if you're here and you are believing that you can, let's use a money situation, you're believing that you can make $10,000 this quarter. And maybe last quarter you didn't make any money, so that's good enough, okay? And that small fire, when it's burning, produces a small amount of heat, and that gets your level of understanding, belief, it accomplishes that. And then you can use that small amount of fire, heat, momentum, desire to get to the next level, which would be $20,000. So just because maybe you have a small desire doesn't mean that you can't eventually grow it. But don't let a temporary defeat for, this moment in time defeat your whole desire. Let it fuel the fire and get you to the next step. One of the exercises that my brother, he went through this book, I think with a coach, a business coach that he had. And actually several people that I've heard read this book as part of a coaching program said they were instructed to read the chapter on persistence every day for 2 weeks. And I feel like what that does for you is, it's a pretty long chapter, so you're spending, an hour a day reading a chapter over and over for 2 weeks. It builds up a belief in yourself of accomplishment, and it literally instills this in your mind. And I feel like persistence, and especially if you have had a reverse gear moment this past week or two, I feel like it will help you to push through that. Persistence is a state of mind that can be cultivated. And I feel like we talked about this in the chapter on autosuggestion. And it's really an overall theme of this whole book is that you can create these states of your mind. And so in the printable that I have for you this week, I have outlined the 8 habits, basically. I think it's habits. It's 8 practices that will help you cultivate persistence. And it really goes back to remembering what your goal and your desire is. So make sure you have that written down somewhere. And, a lot of people maybe refer to The Secret, which is a book all about kind of the idea that if you believe it, it will happen. So the idea of having a picture of the perfect body, in on your computer or whatever, that in and of itself may not accomplish that goal, but what it does is it reminds you of the goal. It helps you to keep, it helps you to be persistent in pursuing that goal. And so if you're reading your goal every day and the plan that you have for accomplishing it, you're doing that every day, you're not going to forget what your goal is. So I feel like that's such a huge part of maybe even for myself, how I slipped up this week was I started I really started coming down to a lower level of vibration, a lower level of thought, and forgetting a lot of the principles that I know to be true, that my that my desires can be accomplished through magical ways, not just through putting a plan in place and following it like a traditional business plan or something like that would do. And I feel like this week my own personal reverse gear was letting myself get to a lower vibration of looking at my reality and thinking, this is all I have to choose from, when I know that keeping my purpose and my desire and connecting to infinite intelligence, like all the things that I have as daily practices, I still need to be reminded of what my goal is. I still need to remember that I want to be, or that I am a New York Times bestselling author, that I'm a world famous, world renowned architect, and that I have an amazing bikini body that, I'll be laying by my pool this summer with. So if it helps you to have the vision board and have those things out, as well as saying verbally, what your goal is, and reading from your card from chapter 2 that we have established, do that and find a way to keep and stay persistent in your pursuit of those things. The 4 things that I'll go over from your printout is how to develop persistence is 1, have a definite purpose backed by your burning desire for fulfilling it. That you just have to keep coming back to. You have to have that definite purpose. Like you have to have it. If you don't have that, you will never achieve it. Like that is the first step. Having a definite plan expressed in continuous action. Okay, I definitely forgot about some of my steps this week, and I fell back into that lower vibration. 3rd, and I'm going to really go crazy on this one because it is so important. It is so important to have a mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences. And this includes family, friends, relatives, and, people that just do not get it from your perspective. Oh, that was where I failed this week, was because I felt like I needed other people on board with what I wanted and how I wanted to accomplish it. And like, I really felt like I needed to bring someone in that was not of the same mindset that I am of. And it crashed me. It literally crashed me. And it took me about a day or 2 of meditating and just taking space from that experience to reset, refocus, remind myself of my purpose and plan, and my connection to infinite intelligence. And I just can't stress enough that sealing tightly your mind, just sealing it tightly, like literally putting like a shield around your mind for, we talked about it last week, other people's opinions. But, I am kicking myself because I opened myself up to that, I open myself up to that negativity, like almost on purpose. I feel like I was sabotaging myself, but I feel like it's all part of the growth. It's a reminder of the resistance that exists out there and the people that will only tell you that it is what it is. Like, you'll have people look around and say, you can only accomplish this by having money first, or whatever it is. But I feel like I am very much a person that believes if you jump, the net will appear. I make decisions like that all the time. I buy a car that I don't have an income, like a regular income to support, because I know that without the car, I don't have any reason to make that money. And I believe that money is always flowing to me. I don't have a problem generating income. And so it really is just about tightly closing yourself off to negative and discouraging influences. And then the fourth thing, and this really is important, is to have a friendly alliance with one or more people who encourage you to follow your plan and purpose. And so I hope that this can be that for you. I hope that you feel my love and support of you and your goals. And I also may, have next week, I'm going to talk about mastermind and the purpose of that. And if that's something that you're interested in, I will share with you how to be part of that. But in closing, I just want to say, there is a freedom in blindly pursuing your dreams. And I say blindly because to the world around you, there may not be facts to support it. There may not be evidence to say that you're going to succeed. But for me, I believe in blind faith and the principles that we have discussed up till now. And I hope that you have really let this sink in this week, the value of persistence and to just keep going. I hope that you are having success in continuing on your journey, and knowing that it is a journey, and to enjoy the process. So for our techniques for this week, let me talk about them for a minute. So this week, for the techniques that I hope that you can practice and further your understanding of persistence, is I did this search actually because I wanted to see what else on YouTube was available for this chapter on Think and Grow Rich, and I found some really good commentaries on it, and also the chapter is just straight up on YouTube. So I am suggesting that you find something like that on YouTube to watch. And I also provided a link to a guided meditation by Jess Lively, who is someone that I really love. But it's basically how to get in the best alignment for your day. And I feel like sometimes when, you don't have to be in a perfect mood or position all the time, but it can be helpful to have something that's like a guided meditation that can lead you to that place of good feeling. So I'm hoping that for you this week. And then I also have alignment writing exercises. So I hope that you're finding a little bit of time each day or each week to just write down your thoughts. And You can answer the questions from the worksheet that I have for you to download, or just write to your own intuition. And the steps on that sheet can also help with that. You don't have to follow my questions. You can ask your own questions. And I would just encourage you to start easy. Start with, don't start with the biggest question that you have that you need answered in your life, but start with smaller questions. Am I safe? Am I loved? Do I feel good today? Small steps. So with that, I'm going to wrap up today. I know this one's a little bit longer than usual, but what can I say? Stay persistent, and I hope that you have a really great day. Bye.